Tuesday, Friday, I was getting my son in the school,
This is.
and I haven't.
I did those things you asked me to do, and I did that.
Thank you, Ashley.
When I sent them
Oh, the
to
automobile
you,
stuff.
and you never got to it. Like, are we good? Do we need?
They're going to tell us. I don't know. I think they like it. I think the concept of that new way. The definition is did I do?
And then I hear Alyssa threw me under the bus. Yes, she did. Cause she's the one, if you remember, always one that.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of Westminster Mayor and Common Council. The council meets here at City Hall on the second and fourth Mondays of every month. Please note that council meetings, although open to the public here at City Hall, are also available and streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. Now we'll begin as we do every meeting with the pledge to the flag, followed by a moment of silence, followed by the sacred. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As a courtesy, please, if anybody has a cell phone or any other electronic device that might disturb the meeting, I ask that you take a moment to silence that right now. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet the council will be using is available online on the city's website. Copies of the agenda are available here in front of the room for anybody who'd like to get it. We have two public hearings this evening, and in the city of Westminster, public hearings are led by the mayor. So I'll pass the gavel to Dr. Beck.
Thank you.
I'll call this public hearing to order at 7:02 p.m. This is Charter Amendment Resolution 24-02. The City of Westminster Mayor and Common Council is conducting this public hearing to receive public comment regarding Charter Amendment Resolution number 24-02, a charter amendment resolution of the Mayor and Common Council of the City of Westminster concerning the single subject elections to amend the Charter of the City of Westminster, Section 3. Qualifications for the election of Mayor and Common Council, notification to those elected, to repeal Section 3.1, absentee registration and re-registration and ballot for members of the armed forces, and to enact Section 3.1 as registration of voters. To repeal Section 4, Board of Registration of Voters, appointment and terms of office, and to enact Section 4 as regulation and control. To repeal Section 5, same form and procedure for registration of voters, cancellation of registration. To repeal Section 5.1, absentee registration and ballots for physically disabled voters and others, and to enact Section 5.1 as absentee voting. To amend Section 6, tie elections for mayor and councilmen, refusal to serve and other disqualifications, filling vacancies, and amending Section 7, oaths of office, all city officers, common council judge of qualifications of mayor and councilman. Would anyone like to make any public comments?
We do them both at the same time?
Well, I would, since they're both the same subject matter essentially, but I think I would keep the charter and the ordinance separate. You can incorporate everything that was said in the public hearing for the charter into the public hearing for the ordinance, so.
Hearing no public comment, I will close this hearing at 7:04 p.m. Next up, we have ordinance 24-07 elections. Amending chapter 4, administration of government of the Code of the City of Westminster to repeal section 4-6, authorization, empowerment, membership, elections, terms, qualifications, and section 4-6.1, filling council vacancies as these issues are addressed in chapter 14, elections of the city code, and amending chapter 14, elections of the Code of the City of Westminster to align the provisions of chapter 14 with the city charter, to enhance the efficiency of the conduct of city elections, to change references from the city clerk to the clerk of elections, to clarify when declarations of candidacy may be filed, providing qualifications for members of the Board of Elections, judges of elections, and campaign treasurers, to incorporate the process for absentee voting and providing a complaint procedure, to provide for filling vacancies in the Common Council, to delete certain obsolete provisions, and to make other changes of a housekeeping nature. Is there anyone who would like to speak on ordinance number 24-07? Hearing none, call the public hearing closed at 7:06. Mr. President, the gavel is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor. We'll move on now to the rest of the agenda. The first item is presentations. We have one this evening. As has been our practice since Dr. Julia Jaskin became president of McDaniel College, we have often received a visitor from the college who's shared some news with us on what's happening up on the Hill. It takes back to the college leadership, what's happening in the city. We're very pleased tonight to have a distinguished guest, the provost of the college, Dr. Flavius Lilly. Dr. Lilly, it's a pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Yeah, well, thank you again. Pleasure to be here and good evening. I send greetings from the college, of course, and also from our president, who of course is so interested in having a good collaborative relationship with the city of Westminster. I had the opportunity to meet many of you at a breakfast that was last November. We were together and really enjoyed meeting all of you at that event. With me is Nikki James. She's one of our students. She seems to be known by all of you very well. That was obvious when we walked in. Nikki is part of the president's student advisory council, and she is not only actively involved in Westminster, but in our student body, and she's a tremendous advocate for our students. I had the opportunity last year to sit with Nikki as we were thinking about our honors program, and it won't surprise any of you that Nikki is one of our honors students as well. And she gave us a lot of good insight and input on how we could reimagine our honors program. So excited to be with Nikki here today. I'll invite Nikki in just a bit. She was at the Westminster Welcome this past Saturday, and I'd love for you to hear what her experiences were like at that event. But to get to some college updates, over this past week, we have welcomed back our faculty and our students. And that's a really exciting time to be on campus. We were just talking about that as we were sitting here. The energy that we feel on campus is really, really wonderful. We have some good news about enrollment. McDaniel enrolled 540 first year and transfer students. It's not a record, but it's very close to one in recent years. So in the climate of higher education, that's very good news for McDaniel and for Westminster, as it creates, of course, vibrancy in this community. Along with welcoming those 540 new students, we also welcomed 14 new faculty members, which is also a large number of new hires. I was in every one of their interviews. They're coming from all over the United States, from various well-respected and prestigious institutions, and they're going to bring a lot to this community. I'll let you know that the orientation that our new faculty went through included an aspect of getting to know Westminster City, which they really all loved a great deal. It was exciting for them. There were walking tours and so on. So I'll just say once again, we're highly gratified by the partnership we have with the city. It's tremendously important to us. We hope it deepens in the future. And this past Saturday, it was a beautiful day and a wonderful event, and you were there, and I couldn't be. I had a daughter who had a sports game, and she doesn't like when I miss, so I attended that. But Nikki is here, and she can tell you about the experience. And then after that, I'm happy to take questions if you should have any.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Nikki James. I'm a junior at McDaniel. I'm majoring in social work and minoring in political science and international studies. I serve in a couple different roles up on the Hill, all of which somehow always seem to connect me back to Westminster. I'm also a Westminster native, but in my probably most prominent role right now, I'm serving as a peer mentor for our incoming freshman students, which means I helped lead the Westminster Walk downtown. And I personally have 18 mentees that I'm helping through the transition to college, and they were all so excited to see bookstores downtown, places that are within walking distance to get food that are not the dining hall, although Laura is very convenient. And just to get to see all of the people come out really definitely made everyone feel welcome. It was really fun to share all of my favorite spots in Westminster with my mentees. And it's also was just fabulous to see Councilwoman Gilbert, Councilman I'm so sorry, Councilman Dayhoff and Councilman Hoff and the mayor, of course, welcoming all the students, and it really helps provide a very personal touch to the experience. So thank you guys for helping to welcome us down off of the hill and into Westminster. And it's just really great to be part of Westminster becoming college town and not just a town of the college. So thank you.
Again, I'm happy to take questions if you have them.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for coming tonight. And I'll just say that it's always very exciting for Westminster to welcome back the college community. It means a lot, not only to our businesses downtown, but to all of us who enjoy having the college in our midst. It means a lot to the life of the community, and I'm very pleased you could join us for your first council meeting. We hope you'll come back again. And
I intend to.
as you said, of course, we all know Ms. James very well, and we're always pleased to see her. So, does anybody have any questions for Dr. Miller?
I do,
Mr. Camacho?
So what's the total enrollment at the school right now, do you know?
Yeah, so there's differences between undergraduate and graduate enrollment. So the college has about 3,500 total students. Not all of them are on campus, of course. Many of our graduate students do online learning.
And what's the total number of faculty?
Again, it depends on what you mean by faculty. Everything has a nuance, right?
Yeah.
But it's a full-time tenure track faculty. This is the core of the faculty in an institution, about 130 of those.
One last question, Mr. President. Nikki, where'd you go to school here, high school?
I went to Westminster High School. Dr. Becker actually taught me apes.
Okay.
And
That's environmental science.
Yes.
Gotcha.
For the rest of you.
and I went to West Middle, so my first year at McDaniel, every day I would open my dorm blinds and I would see West Middle, and I was like, wow, how far we've come.
I went to Westminster myself, long time ago.
Love it. I was probably around the steep.
Yeah.
Very good. Anyone else have a question? That? Right. Well, very good. Well, again, thank you very much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have minutes from the meeting of the Mayor and Common Council on August 12th. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Mr. President.
We have a motion by Mr. Cavachi. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Dayhoff. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. We have one item on the consent calendar. I have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion to approve the consent.
A motion by Ms. Gilbert. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Hoff. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it, and the consent calendar is approved. Report from the mayor, Dr. Becker.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I have a bit to catch up on since I was out of town at the last council meeting. So just a couple highlights. On Saturday, July 27th, I attended the History Fest at the Historical Society of Carroll County. The event was held at their campus on East Main Street. I got to dunk King George several times, who was played by Jason Aladdin. So I think I dunked him maybe 3 or 4 times, which was one of the
Your athletic family.
was one of the highlights of my day, along with learning about World War II veterans from the East Main Street area. The tour was led by Steve Bowersox, who is a history teacher and has taught at Westminster High School. And he gave a great tour, really within a 2-block area of the veterans that served in World War II. From that particular location in Westminster. And I'm happy to say the event was well attended by all ages that were there. On Tuesday, August 6th was National Night Out. And so several council members and myself were able to participate. I was able to make almost all the stops except for the one at Dry River Park because the wind and the storm blew up and participants had started to break down their tables. Bishop Garth had they had to cancel their night out on August 6th. So they hosted their National Night Out event on Tuesday, August 13th, which I was able to attend as well. On Wednesday, August 21st, I was able to attend the back to school event hosted by Find Your Purpose. The weather was perfect. It was a great evening of catching up with some friends I hadn't talked to in quite a while and helping to make sure that school-aged children have all the supplies they need for going back to public school. On Saturday, August 27th, one of my favorite events of the fall, I welcomed over 500 first-year McDaniel College students to Westminster. A big shout out to Erin Benevito, who is amazing. I asked for a McDaniel baseball cap 45 minutes before the event. If she could find one, told her it wasn't a big deal, she couldn't. And sure enough, she texted me 15 minutes later and said, I have a hat for you. This is always such a great event. And I know that businesses on Main Street so appreciate that day and then the follow-up by the students as well. And just getting them used to coming down. We talked about the new crosswalks that were installed, some of the pedestrian issues that we've done as well to help them get into town a little bit more. I'm always so happy that the city can provide the first-year students with a $10 voucher to use in town. And so again, businesses are so happy that day. When I was leaving, I saw the line at Jeannie Bird's that staked from the entry to Jeannie Bird's the whole way to the intersection, lined up with people. I know other businesses that day do a great amount of business. So it's great to see them in town visiting shops, buying lunch that day, and then running into them in town afterwards. So as you mentioned, we have a great relationship that we've been building over the last several years, and it's been noticeable on our end as well. This past weekend or yesterday is, at least in my mind, the traditional end of summer event. The Westminster Municipal Band played their Belgrove Square concert. This is always a great evening to sit around outside in Belgrove Square at the fountain and listen to band music, patriotic music by the Beatles, and so on. And the weather provided a perfect evening that day. We're really fortunate to have such a wonderful band. I wanted to say just thanks to Vance Summerhill, our Director of Public Works, and Valerie Giovanni, who works for Ting, for keeping me updated, and Ms. Imhoff, who also reached out to me that night, even though she was out of town, to keep me updated about the Ting outage last night that occurred, really so I could keep council and residents abreast of the situation. I was happy to report that service was restored relatively quickly. And so thanks to everyone who was involved to help us get back online with that. August 19th, I met with the CEO of Sprouts Farmers Market, which is opening on 140 near the Outback in Westminster Station. That's the right one?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. All right. They're incredibly excited to be opening their location in Westminster. I meant to send this in an email to the council. I think I have forgotten to do so, but the ribbon cutting grand opening will be this Friday. Hope everyone is ready for this at 6:15 a.m. That is the perfect timing for me as a morning person, they apologized for that time and I said, don't worry, it's all good. And then just, it's all good for me. I mean, come on. And just a reminder for everyone in the city, the Carroll County Public Schools will open for students on Tuesday, September 3rd. So please be on the lookout for an increase in traffic, especially bus traffic, students on sidewalks waiting for buses, and new drivers driving to Westminster High School and Winters Mill High School. And then last but not least, I am thrilled to announce that trick-or-treating in the city of Westminster will take place on Halloween, Thursday, October 31st. There we go.
All right, thank you, Dr.
Mr.
Becker.
President.
Next item on the agenda is reports from committees. We'll begin as we always do with our liaison to the Carroll County Arts Council, Mr. Bayhoff.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Carroll Arts Center is continuing with a lot of great movie programming. Recently, several of us, Councilwoman Gilbert and I, attended a screening of Hidden Figures. It's a movie I always really enjoy seeing. That was a great event and lots of folks attended. We recently had a movie on Clifford Still. Clifford Still is an internationally known artist who just happened to live in New Windsor. And it was a great movie. As a matter of fact, in 1980, after he passed away, his will was very difficult to execute. And it stipulated that whoever was the beneficiary, whoever benefited from his art collection, needed to keep it all together and provide a building only for his art. And in 1985, the Westminster Mayor and Council tried to do that. They were not successful. Eventually, the collection ended up in Denver, and I've gone out to Denver to see that museum, and it's extraordinary. Steven Strausnider, the new executive director of the Carroll Arts Council, is doing a wonderful job. He's hit the ground running. And coming soon, the new chair of the board will be Gail Slater. All of us know Gail. She would do a simply super job. So lots of exciting things with the Arts Council. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bayhoff. Economic and Community Development Committee, Mr. Hoff.
Mr. President, the only thing I was gonna mention was about Sprouts, but the mayor already got to that, though I will say, Madam Mayor, they did send an email out to all of us. They have the ribbon cutting listed at 6:45.
That's so interesting because Councilmember Gilbert and I were talking about that, and my email from them says 6:15.
Okay.
So I will double check that.
Okay.
It's 6:45?
Okay, okay.
6:45. I'll forward you the email they sent to us.
Thanks.
Okay.
So
That's
it
it.
wasn't crazy.
Let's not encourage them.
I mean, that
6:45 sounds better to me.
It's up to be
Council
true.
President.
could have been 5:45, you know, that would have been all right.
That's my normal wake up time, not my.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Hoff. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I've been traveling a lot the last couple of weeks. I don't have anything to report there. Likewise, for the Personnel Committee, Public Safety, Mr. Kavachi.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the mayor mentioned, Bishop Starr rescheduled their national night out, and we've had some officers participating in that event on the 13th. On the 14th, we had officers participate in an event at Exploration Commons that was an outreach event called Baking with a Badge. And 5 officers worked with groups of local children to bake cinnamon rolls from scratch together. Somehow, though, I missed the invitation to the public safety chair to taste those cinnamon rolls. We'll be talking about that after the. On the 16th, Mayor Becker swore in Ashley Hera as a new Westminster police officer. Officer Hera brings about 7 years of municipal policing experience, so that's wonderful. And then on the 23rd, officers participated at the Boys and Girls Club Police Officer Appreciation Cookout that actually myself and my oldest son cooked all the food for that event, and several officers attended. So that's all I have, Mr. President.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Kavachi. Public Works, Ms. Gilbert.
So I have a couple things. Not only have we recently completed our new pickleball courts at City Park, but I'm happy to report that the Public Works Department has spruced up the ball fields at the City Park. They've recently been raked and weeded. You may also have noticed that all of the yellow curbs in the city have been repainted. The Public Works Department has been hard at work this summer making the rounds to repaint every yellow curb. I really appreciate all the work the crews do to make sure that the city looks fresh and clean. So thank you to that, and please extend thank you to all the workers. And finally, the Public Works recently installed Be Kind signs. I'm sure some of you noticed that all along, or I'm sorry, Be Kind flags on Main Street to support the kindness stroll, which I'll talk more about in my Rec and Parks stuff. And would you like me to go ahead?
I would like you to do that, thank you.
The City in Action for Kindness kicked off the kindness stroll on August 22nd from 4 to 6 p.m. at Locust Lane. Participants enjoyed an old-fashioned ice cream social that was served up pretzels of positivity and kindness cones. What a fun alliteration. Along with these delicious treats, kids and adults alike got creative at coloring station and decorated downtown with sidewalk chalk. I'm sure a lot of you have seen all the creative artwork on our sidewalks. Other activities included creating friendship bracelets and designing your own kindness flag. The Kindness Stroll is a fundraising event in downtown Westminster that runs from August 19th to September 29th. During the stroll, you can vote for your favorite student painted Be Kind sign displayed at the merchant windows. Proceeds from the Kindness Stroll support 7 local nonprofits: Action for Kindness, the Boys and Girls Club, Carroll County Arts Council, Find Your Purpose, Westminster Elementary PTA, William Winchester Elementary PTA, and West Middle School PTO. So if you missed the kickoff party, please consider visiting our downtown Westminster merchants who feature the student painted kindness signs, and vote for your favorite visit and vote often. Bring friends and family for a list of participating merchants, or for more information, go to actionforkindness.org. And one more point, we are exactly 1 month away from the City of Westminster's 45th Fall Fest. That is making me sound really old, just saying. For the first, I do, which is kind of like why I'm saying it makes me sound kind of old, makes me feel kind of old. Held from September 26th to 29th. Fall Fest is a 4-day community event that is fun for all. The festivities kick off on Thursday at 6:55 for the Fall Fest Mile. Marching immediately behind the run is the fantastic Fall Fest Parade. Other festivities will include rides, games, food, live entertainment, crafts, commercial, nonprofit vendors on Saturday and Sunday. And for more information, you can visit westminsterfallfest.com. And that is all I have right now.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Gilbert. We'll now turn to council comments and discussion. This is an opportunity for council members to mention anything that does not appear elsewhere on the agenda that they would like to share. I'm just going to mention something off the bat because the mayor was talking about it earlier, and that was the ting outage. And I had a brief outage, although I don't think mine lasted as long as some others did. But I just wanted to note that the reason that we mention it is because it is so rare that we have a problem with ting, unlike other service providers. And I just want to mention that I think that that's really important to keep in mind, that, especially for residents who are using the Westminster Fiber Network and ting as the company that's powering it, that it really is tremendously reliable, and I've been so pleased with the record ever since we launched the effort. So I just wanted to mention that. Also, since I'm just mentioning this, also mentioned that did something kind of fun on Sunday. Got back to town on Saturday evening, and one of my neighbors organized little bocce game out in the city park.
That's right, yeah.
And so we used one of the newly raked ball diamonds, which was very nice. And sorry, Miss Gruber's not here tonight. I was going to start lobbying her for a bocce court squeezed somewhere into the city park. It's not nearly as loud as pickleball, Mr. Kazachi. So I think it'd be a nice addition if we could figure that out sometime. And with that, we'll turn to you, Mr. Kazachi, for any comments you'd like to make.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree on the bocce ball court. I think that would be great. Other than that, I have nothing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Playhouse.
We actually, before COVID, remember, we had someone who wanted to do a bocce.
Vaguely remember.
We wanted to do it over at Kings Park. Maybe I could I'll look in my records and see if I can't get in touch with him again. Because he was looking at funding and everything to do it at Kings Park. And then the mayor and I happened to be at the back to school event. That was a lot of people playing pickleball. It was some sort of a pickleball, what the heck was it?
Wednesday leagues. It was
The league?
Wednesday
the
league night.
leagues, okay.
Oh, it's the
yeah.
Wednesday
It's
leagues.
Wednesday league night.
And Mr. Kovaci, it's loud. It really is. I know Mrs. Ablin hears it from time to time up on Willow Street, and we've had to explain to her what it is.
It doesn't bother me. It's just that I hear
It
all.
doesn't bother me, but I hear-
Complaints because I live there.
But I hear about it. And the interesting thing about the Ting outage was that I was working in the office and I had stepped into the kitchen to get a cup of coffee. And I got like 3 or 4 phone calls like immediately. So thanks to the mayor and thanks to Director Moore for keeping us up to speed on that. And it made a lot of people happy. Well, first of all, it was rare that we had the outage. And second of all, everybody was just simply amazed at how quickly it came back online. And I was very happy about that because I was getting a lot of phone calls. I think that'll be my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Playhouse. Ms. Gilbert.
Well, I guess I'm gonna start at the bottom of my list now, since I added a bocce court. I think it's gonna be bocce court through the night. So yeah, I'll be all over that, and maybe you and I can play around with bocce at the Union Mills event with the Historical Society this fall. They have bourbon and bocce as a fundraiser. So after that one, I just wanted to congratulate the team of women who put together a great evening, August 22nd, for the League of Women Voters. It was just in general great evening. The movie was Hidden Figures, very enjoyable and relaxing evening. So congratulations, they did a really great job. Want to welcome all the students to McDaniel College this year. Wish them the best of luck and hope all have a great educational experience this year. And I thoroughly enjoyed the Westminster Municipal Band last night. Again, every time I hear the band, they kind of magically take me back to my childhood of all the time sitting in that park listening to them year after year and all the parades. So I really truly appreciated the volunteer work, talent, and the dedication that they had to Westminster. They truly are great ambassadors for us. And lastly, for those looking for a new grocery store, I believe the mayor has already mentioned it, and now I'll reiterate the time of 6:45.
5:45.
No, 6:45. On the 30th. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks very much. Mr. Hahn.
The only thing I'm gonna mention is how impressed I was with Westminster Welcome and the collaboration between the city and McDaniel. This is my first year of actually being able to attend, because normally I'm taking my own son to college, and it always seems to always happen that weekend. But even thinking back to when I went to college at Franklin and Marshall College, and that's right downtown Lancaster. I don't remember us ever doing something like that. So I think it's really great to be able to have the students interacting with downtown and that it's walkable. And so just a phenomenal event. I was very impressed. Just think it's great. So thanks.
Very good, thank you. And move on now to bids. We have one item in the bids this evening. And it is for approval of a bid to purchase a dump body and salt spreader replacement via an awarded bid between Montgomery County Solicitation, IFB number 1131547, with Intercon Truck Equipment located at 1200 Pauls Lane, Joplin, Maryland, in the amount of $42,994. Mr. Summerhill, will you tell us what that's about?
Thank you, sir. So the background, the city's adopted fiscal year 25 capital budget allocates funding for the replacement of trucks and equipment. This proposed purchase is for a replacement dump body and salt spreader. The requested equipment is available via awarded bid between Montgomery County, FB 113-1547, and Intercon Truck Equipment located at 1200 Pauls Lane, Joppa, Maryland 21085. Westminster's procurement code allows the city to piggyback on this competitively awarded contract. The equipment being purchased is a Bow Rock 10-foot stainless steel dump body and a BP stainless steel under tailgate salt spreader for the street department. Further information is provided in the attached quote and specification sheets. The cost of the unit is $42,994 inclusive of all selected options. The fiscal year 2025 budget for this project is $43,235. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Common Council approve the bid to purchase a dump body and salt spreader replacement via an awarded bid between Montgomery County Solicitation FB 113-1547 with Intercon Truck Equipment located at 1200 Pauls Lane, Joppa, Maryland 21085 in the amount of $42,994. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Summerhill. May I have a motion to approve the bid?
Motion to approve.
So a motion by Ms. Gilbert and a second by Mr. Kavachi. Any questions for Mr. Summerhill or any discussion? All right, hearing none, move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving the bid, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it, and the bid is approved. Next item is ordinances and resolutions. We have two items before this evening. The first is adoption of Charter Amendment Resolution 24-02, the Charter Amendment Resolution of the Mayor and Common Council of the City of Westminster concerning the single subject election to amend the Charter of the City of Westminster, Section 3, qualifications for an election of Mayor and Common Council, notifications of those elected, to repeal Section 3.1, absentee registration and registration and ballot for members of armed forces, and to enact Section 3.1 as registration of voters, to repeal Section 4, Board of Registration of Voters, appointment and term of office, and to enact Section 4, regulations and control, to repeal Section 5, same form and procedure for registration of votes, cancellation of registration, to repeal Section 5.1, absentee registration and ballots for physically disabled voters and others, and to enact Section 5.1 as absentee voting, to amend Section 6, tie elections for mayor and councilman, refusal to serve, other disqualifications, filling vacancies, and amending Section 7, oaths of office, all city officers, common council judge of qualifications of mayor and council. And for that, for an explanation of this, we'll turn to Mr. Barber, our city clerk. Mr. Barber, thank you for all your good work on this, along with the city attorneys and the rest of the staff.
Thank you, sir. Tonight is we are adopting the Charter Amendment Resolution number 24-02. As you just read, I'm not going to reread what you just read, but just kind of go over what the outline of the process we have followed. We introduced this legislation in July 22nd, 2024. We had the public hearing tonight. That was published in the newspaper, and so the public hearing was held tonight, and then we were planning on adopting. The next step is the publication of a fair summary of the Charter Amendment 4 times in papers of general circulation the next 4 weeks. The enactment will take place in 50 days. It's October 15th is the deadline for that. So it will be posted for 40 days, legal requirement in our city administration building. So we've done all the legal requirements for the legislation. Want to thank all of you in the room, because it took a village to look at this legislation. It's not just something that you look at lightly. Many meetings with all of us in there talking about it. As Council President noted, each section that we looked at, it wasn't just like one section. We really took our time, and it's been a process. I'm excited about this process because I think that we did a wonderful job on all levels of this. So I look forward to the enactment and then preparing for our next election.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barber.
Mr. President.
Ms. Imhoff.
I also would just want to take a moment to thank, as I did the last time, the election judges and the election boards. This has been a cumulative effort that we've asked for everyone's opinion in the process, and they've been an invaluable source for us. So I want to thank them at this time as well.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to add that, note that we spent several work sessions over the course of the last few months, working through this with city staff and the city attorneys to make sure that we caught all the nuances of what we were doing here. It's amazing when you think about how old the city is and how old the city charter is and the original ordinances, that a lot of things have been left in there over the years that are no longer relevant. And that they needed to be cleaned up, and I think, very thorough job was done in going through it and finding all those things and modernizing, the code to reflect the way we do elections now, which I think was critically important. A lot of innovations have come about, make it easier for people to participate in the process, and so we have reflected all of that in this new ordinance and the new charter. Ms. Ruff, is there anything you'd like to add that we should note?
I think most of everything has been addressed thus far. I will say that when there were references to the repeal of certain sections in the charter, it wasn't that the city's getting rid of anything. Those provisions dealt with absentee ballots, for example, and the absentee ballot requirements have changed in state law. And so you no longer have to provide a reason as to why you're requesting it. So we cleaned that up a little bit. And there were a couple of other sections that we amended to better reflect the current state law. And one other example that might be of interest to people is registration. So voter registration is through the State Universal Registration Act. And so the town does not keep its own book. So if you're registered with the county, you're going to be registered to vote in the city, provided that you meet the requirements for being able to vote here, right? So that registration works. And likewise, if there's any issues with that registration, that's dealt with through the county as well. I think those are the two big things that might be of interest to your residents, because that impacts them the most, the absentees and things. The other state law that we addressed was recently, the General Assembly said, if you have a tie vote, you have to have a runoff election within 90 days. And so we've incorporated that language into the charter. But I think those are the three things that are big changes. The other things are kind of cleaning up timing requirements. We made sure now if you have a 1-year residency requirement, we know when it ends, right? And we made those types of changes so people could clearly understand the charter.
Thank you, Ms. Ruff. And we have a motion to adopt Charter Amendment Resolution 24-02.
Motion to adopt.
There's a motion by Mr. Dayhoff. Is there a second? A second by Mr. Kavachi. Any questions or any further discussion on this? We certainly had lots of conversation about it over the last several months. Hearing none, we will move on to a vote on adoption of the charter amendment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have, the ayes have it, and Mr. Barber, I'd like to be recorded as voting.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is adoption of ordinance 2024-07, an ordinance amending chapter 4, administration of government, in the code of city of Westminster, to repeal section 4-6, authorization, empowerment, membership, elections, terms and qualifications, and section 4-6.1, filling council vacancies, as these issues are addressed in chapter 14, elections of the city code, and amending chapter 14, elections of the code of the city of Westminster, to align the provisions of chapter 14 with the city charter, to enhance the efficiency of the conduct of city elections, change references from the city clerk to the clerk of elections, to clarify when declarations of candidacy may be filed, providing qualifications for members of the Board of Elections, judges of election, and campaign treasurers, to incorporate the process for absentee voting and providing a complaint procedure, to provide for filling vacancies in the Common Council, to delete certain obsolete provisions, and to make other changes of a housekeeping nature. Mr. Barber.
So before you have now the adoption of ordinance number 2024-07, as we just recently stated, a lot of changes go into our code. We want first, after our last election, we worked with our Board of Elections and election judges to start with them to provide input to you all as we started that long process to analyze and review the current code and what things we would like streamlined in the process. There's a lot to our code in elections. I think we've taken a long look at them and it's come out to be a very good product. And I look forward to working with it in the election in 2025. Also, I'd like to thank Karen as well. We had a lot and City Administrator Impulse. There was a lot of days on the meeting. We were just back and forth rehashing before it even came to you. So enjoyed working with both of you on the project and the city as a whole.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Barber. Ms. Impulse, anything you'd like to add?
No, thanks, sir.
Ms. Welch?
I would say that I think that the title is a very good summary of the changes that are proposed in the code. And I would just articulate that the charter is the governing document. This ordinance takes your charter and implements it. So the changes that we made in the charter are now going to be reflected in the ordinance, which will take effect after the charter becomes effective.
Of course, we're doing all this at one time, so it's all of one piece. Everything will be coordinated and work the way it ought to.
Yes, Council President, the ordinance will become effective the date after the enactment of the charter amendment. So that's the ordinance itself.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-07.
Motion to adopt.
Been a motion by Mr. Dale, is there a second? Who's that? Mr. Cavacci, thank you. Second by Mr. Cavacci. Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Dale.
I really appreciate that everyone got together to bring this to us at a time there. We've been looking at doing this for quite a number of years. I like how thoughtful and deliberately went back through it. Because it really, really needed to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Anyone else? Any no further comments? Move on to a vote. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2024-07, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Once again, Mr. Barber, I'd like to be recorded as voting yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. There's no unfinished business of which I'm aware. Does anybody have any unfinished business to bring before the council? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. There's no new business of which I'm aware, other than what's already been on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else to bring before the council? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to departmental reports. Ms. Impulse, would you like to lead us through those?
Yes, sir. Thank you. As some of you have already mentioned, we're very excited about Sprouts opening this weekend. They have done a big advertising push, I think. I've heard them on the radio and seen them on YouTube and a variety of other places. They indicated that for those who are interested in signing up for an account, which I assume is like every other account at grocery stores, if you do that and you shop this weekend, that there's an opportunity to save 20%. I'm unclear as to whether or not that's on your entire order or just an item. But for those of you who intend to shop at Sprouts and are interested in signing up, that's a way to save some money. You may notice the absence of our Recreation and Parks Director, but no fear, I have her report. The Recreation and Parks Department celebrates a new program offering, which is called Fit and Fun with Melanie. This upbeat, inclusive exercise program is open to adaptive recreation participants, their families, and their caregivers. Participants will engage in a fun, multicultural dance exercise experience that will include energizing music that's easy to follow. Session dates are September 4th through 30th. Classes are held on Mondays and Wednesdays from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the fitness center. Pre-registration is required, so check out our website. If you have any questions, you can call 410-751-5501 or email westminsterrec@westminstermd.gov. And we are winding down our pool season as we are winding down the summer, unfortunately. And the City of Westminster's pool has gone to the dogs. On September 4th from 4 to 7, dogs and their owners are invited to the Pooch Pool Party. your dog likes swimming and socializing with other dogs, this event, which is free, is for them and for you. Dogs will enjoy open swim in the pool and other games and surprises. All proceeds from this event benefit a local rescue. All dog owners must bring a current rabies tag and a collar or harness with a leash in order to be granted entry. Don't you miss the recreation director? All right, so are there any questions for Ms. Gruber / me on this topic?
Any questions on Parks and Rec?
None, we will move on to the Human Resources Department.
Thank you, Ms. Halls. Just want to follow up to the mayor and the council that the safety and risk coordinator has hit the ground running, and I'm really excited to work in partnership with the coordinator as we work to keep our agencies and our employees safe, also working with him to get some best practices in place to help mitigate risk. And that's all I really want to follow. Have any questions?
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Hearing none, we will move on to the Public Works Department, Mr. Summerhill.
Thank you, Ms. Halls. So the EPA has reached out through Maryland Department of the Environment, and they're doing a survey of water service lines throughout the country, the whole country. So our water department, our utilities maintenance department, Corey, and special thanks to our IT department, put together a hang tag, and it's going to affect about 20% of the water service lines in the city. So they're going to be putting them out and getting that information together for MDE and ultimately for the EPA. So that's what's going on now.
Mr. President, ask a follow-up.
Mr. Baker.
So do we have to, I mean, I have a property in Manchester and I already went through the inspection process. I mean, do we have to physically look at each and every service? And that's a lot of service.
It's a criteria, and so for us, it's like houses built before 1973 that we don't already have information on. So there's a QR code, and that's what the IT helped us with. There's a QR code, and you go scan it, get down your basement, take a picture, upload it, and hopefully that's
pretty sharp
where it ends. That way, we don't have to go door to door then and ask people to go down in their basements and look at their water service lines.
And it's going to be a different colored card.
So
Yes.
I get a lot of phone calls about the red tags for the purpose of changing out and installing the app. I get a lot of phone calls in which I automatically say, look and see which box is checked off. And if it's checked off for the purposes of repairs, it's probably for the purpose of changing out the meter so that it's happening.
So we heard as well and have changed the process on that. So
Great.
for app change outs,
That'll
those tags,
reduce the number of phone calls. Thank you.
those tags are now blue.
Good.
Regarding the service line, the city has been working on this for many, many months. We're at the tail end of collecting our inventory information. We're only looking for, as Mr. Summerhill indicated, the final 10 to 20% that we don't have the information for. So for those houses that we don't have the information, the city is hand tagging the doorknobs. The information on the doorknobs has a QR code. It also has a website, and residents can either scan the QR code with their phone or go on the website with their computer. It's a very short survey, and we're asking that they take a quick photograph. Again, it only applies to some people because otherwise we already have the proper records that we need in order to complete this inventory that the state's asking for.
So, Mr. President,
Mr. Kavacha.
I'm unclear what you're talking about in terms of, you're saying their inventory, what does it mean? Are you talking about the material that the line is made of, the size of the line? What are they inventory? What are they looking for? I understand you take a picture, but to what end? What's the point?
The state, the EPA has requested that all the jurisdictions in the country survey their water service lines. And there's a long spreadsheet that we have to fill out and send to MDE. So we have been collecting this data behind the scenes based on a variety of criteria that MDE has outlined. There are a few homes, and that's what we're talking about, homes that were built prior to 1973, who also fortunately have never needed any service from the city before inside their home. So we don't have any records from them. That's a very small group of people. It's not everybody. And those folks are getting this little survey. I can send you a copy of the card.
Yeah, it still doesn't answer my question though. You're surveying whether they have service or surveying what are they looking for? I'm still not, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure.
What are they surveying?
The EPA has asked us to outline a variety of components that are involved in the water service lines, the lines themselves.
The material that it's made out of, the
Variety.
size?
Variety of things, locations of things, material, size, all of those things.
And do we have an understanding of why they want this information?
We do. I think that we do, but right now
I
the
have
only
a
set.
suspicion why, but yeah, it's gonna be very expensive for people who have certain types of lines probably, but regardless, anyway, go ahead.
I definitely don't think we should send that information out to the public at the moment. We have no understanding that there's an expense. I assume at some point there'll be a mandate that comes down to the city about one thing or another, but we don't have any information on that.
Well, I think we owe it to the public that if they're looking for information that's going to cost them a lot of money to dig a line up and replace it, we should be letting folks know that's why we're surveying.
I don't disagree with you. We haven't let the public know that. It's not currently something that that they have to be concerned about right now.
Okay.
Mr. President, I guess to follow up on that, I wonder, could we do a press release or something about this? I know language gets a little difficult, but we have some wordsmiths in the city. I'm looking at one. Maybe we could do a press release or something. If we could have a copy of that, that would be really helpful, because when I get phone calls and emails and text messages about what's this all about, then I can sing from the same sheet as everyone else. I can just copy and paste that the purpose of this exercise is. I was under the impression they're mostly looking for lead pipes.
I can certainly get something to the council so you can answer.
And I want to follow up on Mr. Kavachi's request. I would love to see a copy of the cards that have been sent. So that would be a big help also, because I believe the mayor and I, we grabbed a screen grab of one of the cards that appeared on Facebook. And I was going to put together something and talk with the mayor and the council president about it. So maybe we could put something together like that. I thought what you did was excellent on Facebook. That was about the user apps. Is what you responded to.
Right,
But this is different. Yeah,
But this as well has also been pushed out in the city's social media.
I wasn't aware.
I've seen a picture of the tag.
Oh my word, I have not.
It is on the city's website, but we will
Okay,
get something
okay,
from the council.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay. Okay, thank you, Madam City Administrator.
I'm happy to answer your question.
And now, can I ask Mr. Somerville a question? Has nothing to do with this.
Of course, Mayor.
Main Street's done?
The water main,
Replacement?
as far as I know, they had some last things to finish up, and
I haven't seen any construction out there recently.
yeah,
So I've been crossing my fingers. So
they're
they're wrapped up.
Yep.
Thank you.
May I ask a follow-up question also?
Of course.
So what we have to look at the petroleum index as to whether or not we're going to do the overlay project this fall or next spring. I'm getting a lot of questions about that.
That project is currently out to bid for
Okay,
pavement management. He's asking about pavement management bid.
Yeah, okay.
Main Street is on that list of what's to be bid next. So the council can expect to award that bid, I don't know, the next month or two.
So obviously the petroleum index came out favorably. Okay.
Well, we
Well-
decided we couldn't wait anymore,
Yeah,
so
okay.
we have to move forward. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ms. Emmons.
Welcome. Are there any other questions for the Public Works Department?
Mr. President,
Ms. Gilbert.
I just have one follow-up from all the water talk. Is there a backup plan for all those folks, not to say that there's that many that will not take a picture of their piping underneath their house and be
Yeah.
able to get to it?
I would have, Matt Corey's got a plan. He definitely has a plan.
Corey's quite an asset.
Are there any other questions for the Public Works Department? Hearing none, we will move on to the IT Department.
So most,
Smart.
I'll keep it short, continue to do what we do every day, but I want to take this opportunity to remind folks, we're still seeing an influx of bad emails coming in, even in your personal email. Even if you know the person sent the email, question what you're receiving. We're seeing a lot of false links, a lot of different agencies getting taken over with an account and they're just flooding people with emails. Our systems are doing what they're supposed to do. We've caught them all, but do your due diligence for us. If you ever have a question, please reach out. We don't mind getting a call and say, can you check this email for us? Does it look legit? We'll be happy to do that for you. So I unless you have any questions.
Are there any questions for the IT Department?
May I ask the following question?
Yes.
Many municipalities and many organizations have gone to the point where they do not have email addresses on the website. Maybe we can, Mr. President, maybe we could look forward to a meeting of the technology committee in which we could look at that. And I've heard all kinds of arguments about this, but what perhaps we could have if someone, say, for example, wanted to ask the mayor a question, there would be a central email on our website that goes into IT that says, I would like to ask the mayor a question and they can forward it to the mayor. I mean, I'm not sure I know the solution to this. I really don't, but that's the favorite target from what I'm reading these days is they go to the website, find all our different emails and send us emails. And I've been sending stuff over to IT and IT is really helpful, but maybe we ought to look at the source of the problem.
You got that money that somebody emailed me and asked me to say.
That's right. I think I owe you a gift card from what, the Starbucks or
So,
something.
Mr. Dell, you're the chairman of the technology committee. I encourage you to
Maybe.
organize a meeting and you and Mr. Moore can have a conversation about this, report back to us.
Yeah, I mean, see what we can. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the IT Department? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Planning Department. Mr. Depot?
Thank you. Again, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting scheduled for August 15th has been rescheduled for the 29th. The purpose of this meeting is to hold a work session for two rezoning residential projects. One is the Willows, which is located northeast of Pennsylvania Avenue and Sullivan Road, and Sunny Place Condos, which is located at 222 East Green Street. I'd like to report that the city of Westminster has been awarded the full grant amount of $300,000 from Project Restore 2.0. This is the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development Program. The funds are intended to help activate vacant properties in downtown Westminster with new commercial uses and can be used for interior and exterior renovations and fit out of the building, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and pay rent. Right now, the city is working on finalizing the process to distribute the funds. And finally, the downtown Westminster Farmers Market is still active and on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon. And this goes until November 23rd. And that completes my report. If you have any questions.
Mr. President, excellent work on that grant. Fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not asking you to tell me what you have, but do we have some target properties that we're?
Yes, we do. We have targeted projects that we use to provide quotes to get to the maximum amount of 300,000. And the state's very excited about some of the projects that we have earmarked.
Good, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Depot? Hearing none, we will move on to the Finance Department. Ms. Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to report in that finance is still working on fiscal 24 year-end close in preparation for the second and final half of our annual audit, which will take place in the fall in October. Another audit that you may not be familiar with that we're required to participate in annually by our workers' comp carrier is our workers' comp audit. This is an audit that generally takes place late summer, early fall. It's managed in cooperation between two departments, finance and human resources. And the purpose of that audit is to make sure that we paid the right premium for fiscal 24. So that we're preparing for that as well. And that's the end of my report. If you have any questions, happy to take them.
Ms. Knowles.
Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment. I really appreciate, I noticed over the past couple of months that Ms. Rogers is starting to include like a memo with the bids, noting, how everything ties into the budget. And as someone who, very into numbers, I appreciate that little extra step. And I just wanted to point out, I've been meaning to say something, but I have noticed that and I appreciate that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other questions for the police department? Hearing none, we will wrap up with the police department. Chief Michael?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This Friday, our police recruit Barbara Bogan graduates from the Maryland Police and Corrections Training Commission Police Academy. And shortly after graduation, she will start her field training with a field training officer. We also just received notification that we were awarded grant funds from the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention to purchase our remaining 6 body-worn cameras that will fully satisfy the state mandate, which is effective July 1, 2025.
Great news.
That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Mr. President, that concludes departmental reports.
All right, thank you very much, President Halston. Before we move on to the last item, I just wanted to note that we're all sad to learn of the passing of former Mayor Tom Ferguson's wife, Sandy. We all knew Mayor Ferguson well, and he and his wife were leaders in the community, in a variety of charitable activities throughout their lives here in Westminster, long before he became mayor. And so it's very sad event. Sorry to see that. And I know we expressed formally our condolences to Mayor Ferguson, former Mayor Ferguson, by his wife. Passing of Mrs. Ferguson tonight.
Mr. President. I attended the visitation, and the former finance director, who was the finance director for many, many years, Steve Dutter, asked me specifically to share his best wishes to the Westminster Mayor and Council, as did Mayor Ferguson. So I wanted to be sure to get that. Mr. Barber helped me out. I forgot to mention it during council comments. Thank you, Mr. President.
The final item on our agenda is citizen comments, where we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues pertaining to tonight's agenda or any other city issue. For citizens not attending the public meeting, we invite you to send us your comments or concerns via email at comments@westminstermd.gov. All comments received by email will be shared with the mayor and council. We ask that commenters please include their address and phone number with their comments. Now invite comments from anyone who is present this evening. Is there anybody here who would like to share any comments this evening? All right. Hearing none, then that concludes our agenda and the meeting. And without objection, we are adjourned.